Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are very excited for this movie because it came out of nowhere, I think, a little bit for us. And today we are reviewing Revenge. If you've never heard of that movie, that's okay. A lot of people haven't.
So this is a directorial debut for a major motion picture from a French female director, and it is about a woman who goes to this remote location with boyfriend, lover, something like that, and some things happen and go wrong, and she has to get revenge for such things happening, and it goes from there.
This review is going to be spoiler-free, so that's the most we can tell you about the plot. I think it does reveal a little bit more in the trailers, but I think this would also be a fun movie to go in completely blind, because it is worth a watch. This plot is an action movie. It is a straight-up, revenge flick. I've seen other people refer to it more as kind of a grindhousey movie, which it does have that feel. It does not take itself too seriously, while simultaneously being a very serious, grim movie. You kind of have, you could eat popcorn the whole time still. Well, maybe, not for all of it.
It's very gory, I will say that. There's a lot of blood and guts, and it's a little overkill, which makes it a bit more of a grindhouse style. But I still found it enjoyable, although I tend to enjoy things like that.
Frequently throughout the film, we found ourselves saying that it seemed very much like George Miller's works. It felt very Mad Max Fury Road in moments, and felt very similar to other action movies, especially strong female-led ones. The girl reminds me a lot of Sarah Connor from Terminator.
And while those were very clear influences, I don't think that it felt like it was copying anything. It very much was its own entity, and it kept its uniqueness throughout the entire film, even with those bits and pieces that were influenced from other films. The thing that makes this movie probably the most unique is the cinematography. It's very artistic, but very raw at the same time. And the way the colors are used in this movie, if you've watched some of our other reviews, like Shape of Water and a few other things, you know I'm a sucker for color coordination and all those things. And just the house they're in has certain colored glass pieces as art. And then, the colors of the clothes of the people they're wearing, match those pops of color, and it's just, so aesthetically pleasing.
I felt like there were so many shots in this film where they just, did a really wide shot, and you just got to see everything take place. Or, and we mentioned several times, it was cut very interestingly. Sometimes the cuts seemed very intentional, but they were weird, but they weren't off-putting. They actually added, I think, to the atmosphere the movie was trying to convey.
I think the cuts, when they were put in like that, put you in either the antagonist or protagonist's head, and it kind of gave you their perspective of what was going on with them mentally at the time, as this is a very, rough mental movie, just because there's a lot of trauma and duress.
Like we said before, this movie is gory, and so if that is not your thing, then you will probably struggle during a couple specific moments during this movie. It's pretty bloody overall, but there's, several moments that they really, push it, and there's, blood going everywhere, and it's just grody.
Also, this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm gonna put it in anyways. Content warning for rape, if that's something you have an issue with. Maybe avoid this one. It's not very explicit on screen, but it is there.
But the action scenes on the other side of that were actually pretty well done. The action felt pretty grounded, and at no point I didn't feel as someone seeking revenge, that is no spoiler, I did not feel like she turned into necessarily a killing machine all of a sudden. I felt like she definitely worked her way to get there, and I enjoyed the climb with that character. I did personally enjoy the soundtrack for this film. I thought they had, as all movies do nowadays, have the 80s synth music, which is my vibe, but they also combined it with some modern songs, and the character does have an iPod at the beginning that they use a lot of music. So I thought it added to the film and to the overall flavor of this film that ends up feeling very artsy.
I will also say the sound mixing, outside of the music aspects of it, was very... it added a lot of texture to the film, is the best way I can describe it.
That is the nicest way you can describe
Yeah,
sounds.
like when gross things are happening, whether it's like gory or otherwise, like the sounds are very focused and loud, and it just like makes you cringe in all the right ways. I will say, even though you pretty much know where the end of this movie is going from the outright and from the trailers, that the final action scene in this was extremely satisfying. It was a very well shot, but drawn out in just the right way, like final action scene. I find a lot of times in something that is built up over like a 2+ hour time period to this big old action scene at the end in most action movies, it tends to be a little more like, oh, okay, well, we're here, like, can we be done? Like, it's just, but this I felt like built up really well. I was very excited when we got to it. I didn't feel like it drew out too long or anything like that. It was a really well done scene, and it's very claustrophobic, and like it makes you feel all the things.
Yeah, they spent like the 10 minutes like fight scene like in a very small space, and it was cool. It was cool. So we ended up really enjoying this film. It surprised us. We were excited about it since we saw the trailer for it a while back, but it did kind of like come out of nowhere. Like I'd never heard of the director or the studio or anything like that, and
also, the marketing for this movie was genius. Like, there was a video they put out on, I think, Twitter, where it was just a bunch of the comments from dudes who weren't happy about, like, a female-led movie, and, like, all of their stupid comments, and that was, like, their trailer for the movie. It was genius. I will link it down below if I can find it, because it was hilarious.
I forgot about that. That is funny. But we really enjoyed this movie, and we think you guys should go see it, and it's, like, on VOD as well, I think. It's
I think it dropped
theaters,
for download at the same time that or streaming download at the same time that it dropped in theaters. It was a weird release.
So you can go like VOD it right now if you want to, and you should.
As always, if you liked this video and you want to see more like it, please give us a thumbs up. It does influence how we schedule and decide our videos. And if you like us, please subscribe. We would love to have you join the BS Review family. We are close to 500 subscribers. I would love to get there soon, and we would love for you to be part of that crew. If you want to see any of our other videos, we have them listed right over here. We have a lot more on this channel besides just movie reviews, and we will see you guys in our next video. Bye!